Hi there, welcome to Arts at a Distance. My name is Miss Noel. I'm the Arts Education Consultant with Merced County Office of Education, and we are here today with What in the World Wednesday. So if you've been watching a little bit, you understand that What in the World Wednesday is actually our day for media art. But because media art is so difficult to do without a computer or a device of some kind, instead of simply doing media art, I do What in the World so that we can kind of redefine it and get a handle on what media art means kind of at its core. And at its core, where you strip away the computers and the devices and the screens and the coding and all of these things, instead of being digital, it is about innovations and combinations of other different disciplines of art. I know that sounds very kind of head in the clouds academic, and it is, but when it comes down to it, it's really, really fun and easy and interesting to do. So the project we're going to do today may actually fall under somewhere between media art and visual art. I think of it as being media art because we are pulling away from two-dimensional and moving into three-dimensional within the idea of innovating and changing up a very simple concept and making it more complicated. That's a lot of stuff to say that we are going to make a pop-up card today. I know you guys have probably seen those in the past where you can open them and a design pops up and out at you. They are very complex to make and super duper fun to receive. If you've ever gotten one for your birthday or something like that, you open it, it pops out and you feel like, whee, there's a party in the card. But what we're going to be doing is kind of a simplified version of that and something you can do right there at home. Now, we need a couple of different things that we're going to lay out right now. We need 2 pieces of paper to be able to do this. I've chosen one that will be my outside piece, which is blue construction paper, and then an inside piece, which is white. Either of them can be either color, but you do need 2 because what you're making in the middle to pop up needs to be able to not be seen from the outside. You also are going to need scissors. This is not one of the things that you can tear out the design. Normally I say you don't need them. This time you need them, okay? So if you need a grown-up's help with those, please get it. If you don't, that's great. Make sure you have your scissors nearby. And then the other thing is pens and markers. The markers will all be about coloring on the front or inside, but your pen should be available to be able to trace on one side of the card the design that we're going to cut, after which we will not want to see it on the other side. So we want to make sure we have something that's a little bit lighter, so I chose my fine-tipped pen. A pencil would work just as well. Okay, first things first. We're going to take both of these papers and we are going to, you know what, because they are different sizes, I'm going to do this separately. But if yours are the same size, you can do them together, put them together to do this. I am going to fold each paper in half because obviously they are a greeting card and we want it to be able to be opened kind of like a book or a pamphlet, right? Since this blue construction paper is going to be my outer card, I'm going to set that aside for right now and concentrate on the inside. So what we're going to make is a very simple heart that can pop out of the card. So what that means is because the heart is a shape that is even on both sides, symmetrical on both sides, all we have to do is draw it on one side, and then when we open it, you'll be able to see it on both sides, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to draw half of a heart, not too terrible. Actually, I want it to be bigger than that, so I'm going to draw bigger than that, just like that. As you can see, this is the inner seam of my card, and I've drawn a nice big heart. I drew one at first too right there. It wasn't big enough, so I drew a bigger one around it. It does not matter if that happens. It's gonna be fine, okay? Don't forget that anything you draw on this side is not going to be seen because you have an outside cover that's going to be covering it. So now that we've got our heart laid out in front of us, we're actually going to, I'll draw it out. There's only so far that we're going to cut with our scissors. So the part of the card that's going to actually pop out is going to be separated, and it can't be the whole thing. So what I would recommend is picking a point somewhere on the heart. I'm going to do right about here, right where the curve is starting to come back down to hit the center. And I'm going to draw myself a nice little dotted line right there. See that dotted line? What that dotted line means is that everything below the dotted line is going to stay connected, no cutting. Everything above the dotted line, we're going to cut. So let's practice that now. We're going to get out our scissors, and remember, above the dotted line, we're going to cut. So I'm going to very carefully, and by carefully, what I'm trying to do here is emphasize safety to you. It matters not at all if your heart is a little wonky or doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to be. There is not a thing wrong with that. Remember, art is not about perfection. Art is about expression, trying new things, and doing the best that you can. That's it. So what I've done is I have, as you can see here, separated this heart out only down to the dotted line. At this point, I'm actually going to take this inner piece, and now I have a point right here where when I go to fold it this way, I can only fold it so far, right? Because part of it is still connected to the paper. So when I do that, I'm going to make myself a nice little crease that looks like kind of the finished half of the heart in here. And then I'm also going to move that to the other side. So there is a double crease going on, okay? I've taken the entirety of the heart itself, and I can fold it from one side to the other, one side to the other, just like that, nice and simple. And it should be really, really creased. Now, when you open up the card, you'll see that there is part of a heart, right? That is available and is not any longer attached to the paper. However, the way it is right now is it is still, when you fold it, the crease still goes in. We want that crease to be popping out. So I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to put them in here so I can pop the heart away from the card itself. And then I'm going to actually push that crease out with my hands and fold it this way. So unlike the rest of the card, the heart is folded inward, where the rest of the card is folded outward. Okay? So now when I go to refold the piece, just like that, when I fold it, the card, because of the way it's folded, is actually hidden right in here, and this is empty, which means that when I open it, oh, the card pops up like that. So now obviously this is not the kind of thing that we want to give to someone. It's very obvious that we have an empty space right here. So that's where this part of the card comes in. You know what I also forgot to mention, and this is totally my fault, is that eventually when we do this, you're going to want to have glue so that you can stick this together. Right now we won't worry about it, but eventually you're going to want to have glue. So now is a great time to practice decorating the front of our card. Let's see. I am going to make this card to my son, and I'm going to write to Elijah. My son's name is Elijah. To Elijah, I'm going to make a big heart as decoration, and I will actually color it in a second. And then on the bottom, I'm going to say, from Mommy. he is going to be very excited to get a card. He's at that age, he's 3, almost 4, and he's at that age where he loves to get mail and open things and stuff like that. So I will, you know what? I think 1 heart on the front is not enough. I'm going to add several different hearts, and I'm going to, on purpose, stack them so that when it comes to coloring them in, I'm gonna have to work a little bit hard in a really good way to make sure that the colors only overlap in the ways that I really want them to. And then 1 big heart at the back, just like that. Yay! So the front now says, to Elijah from Mommy. Oh, I hope he likes it. And like I said, we are gonna wanna use adhesive of some kind, either glue or tape, it doesn't really matter, but we're gonna wanna use one of those adhesives to attach the middle to the outside of the card. But I'm just gonna hold it in place for right now. To Elijah from Mommy, and then when he opens it up, it's going to look like, yay, that right there. Look at how fun that is. So let's see, how could we decorate this heart in the middle? I am going to decorate it by coloring it in. I'm going to add an outside rim a little bit to really emphasize the fact that the heart itself is different from the rest of the card. And this is something that you can do entirely individually, any way that you want to. While I'm decorating a little bit here, let's talk about why this worked. This worked because I chose a shape which could be, which was nice and even and big, and meant that I could, like I said, separate the top half and then change the direction of the seam in the middle, the crease in the middle, so that after the shape was cut out, and after I changed the crease, it made it so that it could be tucked down into the card, and when you opened it, it automatically popped up, right? Does that mean that it has to be a heart that you work with? No, I don't think so. I've seen this done with very simple star shapes. I've seen it done with bubbles and circles. I'm sure if you really wanted to take the time, you could do it with flowers and make a simple bouquet that pops up, something like that. I like the idea of a heart, like I said, because it's a little bit complex, but not too complex, which is really good. There are lots and lots and lots of reasons to give cards. There are birthdays and anniversaries. There are remembrances of, you know, nice things that people have done where you say thank you, or you know, stuff like the start of a new job, things like that. Or sometimes, and this is something that I think is really important in this particular time of life where we are all kind of quarantined, sometimes people just need to have something to boost their spirits. It's kind of nice to give a card just because, and be able to say, just because I love you, I made something for you. This is something that if you were in school, especially if you're younger, you would often do activities like this for Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, etc. But it's really nice to be able to continue that tradition when you're older or outside of a school environment where you get assigned projects, just because it's a good thing to do, right? So I've done very simple art here while we talked. To Elijah from Mommy. And a pop, oh, wait, see, I didn't replace it correctly, so it didn't pop up correctly. Let's try again. Remember that we do our fold in like that, and that way we know that it is going to pop up. There we go. Once it's done correctly, it should totally lay flat, so that's something to look for. To Elijah from Mommy. Big pop-up heart for you. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this What in the World Wednesday, making a card. I can't wait to see you next time. Remember, there's 3 things we need. Are you ready? Stay safe, be happy, and make art. Bye, everybody.